Pain is everywhere in Attack on Titan. Almost every character we follow ends up carrying some form of it with them. And the more I thought about it, the more I realized just how differently that pain shows itself throughout the story. And what I love about Attack on Titan is how much those experiences shape the people. Eren, Reiner, Levi, Mikasa. They can go through completely different things and carry what happened to them in completely different ways. Yet somehow that suffering keeps finding its way into the choices they make afterwards. And that's what kinda made me want to make this video in the first place. Because when people talk about pain in Attack on Titan, there's so much more to it than just who had the saddest death or who had the saddest backstory. I want to look at 3 forms of pain that stuck with me the most. First one, powerlessness. It is one of the first forms of pain Eren really experiences. Even before Wall Maria falls, he's already frustrated by the fact that humanity has accepted living behind the walls. Everyone around him has built a normal life there, while Eren looks at that same life and feels trapped by it. He wants to know what's outside. He wants humanity to actually fight for something. And somehow, this 10-year-old has already decided everyone around him is wasting their lives. Like, bro, you're 10 years old. Go play outside or something. Oh no, wait, actually don't. Then, Wall Maria falls. Within minutes, his home is destroyed. Titans are everywhere, and when Eren finally reaches his house, his mother is trapped underneath it. Eren tries to pull her out, but then Hannes arrives. Hannes, and suddenly there's someone there who should be able to do what Eren can't. He's older, armed, and actually trained to fight. And then Hannes sees the Titan. Eren is carried away while watching his mother die. And there's genuinely nothing he can do to change what's happening. He couldn't save her, Hannes couldn't save her, and Eren doesn't even get to decide whether he stays, and that feeling stays with him. His answer is pretty straightforward. Get stronger. If the Titans can take everything from him because he can't fight back, he will become someone who can. And somehow it works. Eren becomes a Titan. If I'm Eren right here, I'm feeling amazing. A couple weeks ago, I couldn't even lift a roof, and now I'm 15 meters tall beating the shit out of Titans? Yeah, we're so powerlessness keeps finding him in different ways. He can fight now, but that doesn't mean he controls what happens around him. People can still die, plans can still fail. Every bit of control he gains seems to reveal something else he can't control, and that's what makes his progression so interesting to me. By the end of the story, Eren has enough power to affect the entire world. Yet you can still recognize that kid who couldn't stand the idea of being trapped. And then you have Levi. Levi already has everything young Eren thought he needed. He's ridiculously strong, experienced, and whenever he shows up, there's almost this automatic feeling that everything is handled. And yet, being that strong has never stopped Levi from losing people. He could win fights that nobody else could survive, and still end up facing situations where there's simply nobody left to save. And that's why I like putting these two next to each other. Eren spends his life chasing strength, because he believes it'll take him further away from that helpless kid he used to be. Levi already has that strength, and his life shows you just how little control it actually can give you. That's probably the saddest thing about Levi for me. You see what he's capable of, so you start expecting him to always find a way. But sometimes there just isn't one. Number 2. Betrayal. Eren has spent years training beside this guy, fighting alongside him, and genuinely looking up to him, and Reiner just casually tells him that he's the Armored Titan. Once Eren realizes what Reiner is actually saying, their entire relationship changes. Because Reiner isn't some enemy Eren met on a battlefield, this is someone he trusted, And now he's finding out that that person standing in front of him helped cause the worst day of his life. And that's why Aaron's anger here feels so personal. For years, he's imagined the people responsible for Wall Maria as monsters, only to discover that one of them has been eating and sleeping and training right beside him. But Reiner has a completely different problem. He came to Paradise as a child, who had already been taught exactly who these people were supposed to be. They were devils. And completing this mission would make him a hero. But then he actually had to live with them. Aaron, Armin, Jean, Connie, Sasha. These people slowly became real to him. And somewhere along the way, Reiner became so invested in being their friend and fellow soldier that his own identity started falling apart. Reiner might genuinely be the worst undercover agent I've ever seen. He infiltrated the enemy base and did his job so bad that he accidentally helped the enemy. Like, bro, it's funny until you realize what that actually means for him. Reiner has to reconcile the people he cares about with everything he's already done for them. And by the time his identity is revealed, he's been carrying that contradiction for years. For Aaron, Reiner's betrayal becomes anger, and for Reiner, living with it becomes guilt. 4 years later, this is where their relationship becomes one of my favorite parts of Attack on Titan. Because Aaron eventually does something strangely familiar. He crosses the ocean. He enters enemy territory under a false identity, lives among the people, and eventually discovers the same thing Reiner did. They're regular people. He sees families, children, people going to work and living normal lives. By the time Aaron reaches Liberio, he understands something his younger self couldn't have understood when Reiner first betrayed him. And this is where Aaron's character becomes way more interesting. He's actually met these people now. He knows exactly who lives on the other side of that ocean. So whatever he decides to do next, he can't pretend he doesn't know. And then Aaron asks Falco to bring Reiner downstairs.
なあ、ライナー。お前、ずっと苦しかっただろ。
違うんだ、エレン。俺はあの日。
Now wait a minute. If I walk into a basement and Eren Yeager is sitting there looking at me like this, I'm leaving, I'm out of there. Just send me an email or something else, bro. I'm not sitting there with... Anyway, Reiner sits down. And what follows is basically the reversal of everything that happened between them years ago. Eren brings up Wall Maria and his mother's death. Reiner eventually breaks down and admits that underneath all the propaganda and all the excuses, part of him kept going because he wanted to be a hero. And Eren listens because now he understands him. That line carries so much more weight when you look at it from both perspectives. Reiner crossed the ocean. He met his enemies and learned they were all human before destroying their house. Years later, Eren crosses that same ocean, meets Reiner's people and reaches the same realization. And then he transforms anyway. Understanding Reiner doesn't suddenly make Eren forgive everything that happened. And understanding the people of Marley doesn't stop him from bringing destruction to their home. Reiner gets to watch his own past happen again from the other side. The person he betrayed eventually understood him so well that he became capable of making the same kind of choice. Like, bro, this is peak, understand it, this is peak. And this time, Reiner knows exactly what comes after. And the last one is loss. Loss might be the most familiar kind of pain in Attack on Titan. Almost everyone in this story loses someone eventually. Mikasa is probably the clearest example of that. From a really young age, Eren becomes one of the most important people in her life. He saves her, gives her a home, and after she loses her parents, he is one of the few pieces of family she has left. And the scarf is such a simple way of showing that. It's literally just something Eren gave her, but Mikasa carries it for years because of everything that moment means to her. Eren really gave her one scarf at 9 years old and secured lifetime loyalty, generational investment. But as funny as that is, Mikasa's attachment to Eren becomes increasingly painful as he changes. The person she wants to protect starts pushing her away, making decisions she cannot follow. until eventually loving Eren and stopping Eren becomes impossible to separate. And that's a horrible position to be in, because Mikasa's entire life has already taught her what it feels like to suddenly lose a family. Now she knows it's coming again. There's a big difference between losing someone unexpectedly and knowing you're probably going to lose them while they're still standing in front of you. Mikasa spends the entire story watching Eren move further and further away from the person she remembers, while still holding on to the possibility that some part of him might come back. Nah bro, he's cooked. And then the story eventually forces her to make the choice she's been avoiding. She kills him herself. And that's one of the cruelest conclusions you could give Mikasa. She doesn't lose Eren because she failed to reach him in time. She reaches him and understands what needs to happen. And even after that, she keeps the scarf. She visits his grave and she continues living. And that's the best thing about Attack on Titan, in my opinion, is the way they handle loss. Moving forward doesn't require these characters to suddenly stop caring about people they've lost. Mikasa doesn't need to erase Eren from her life. She carries him with her, and she keeps on going. Horses don't stop, they keep going. And Levi understands that feeling better than almost anyone. By the end, Levi has outlived an almost ridiculous number of people he cared about. He carried their promises, their sacrifices, and the decisions they made with him. And after everything is finally over, he sees the scouts one last time. Erwin, Zoe, his squad, everyone who gave their life believing it would eventually mean something. And when it's finally done, there's nobody left to save. Attack on Titan doesn't give its characters some clean way of getting over this. Some become angry, some are consumed by guilt, some hold on to the people they've lost for the rest of their life, and somehow they keep moving.